Today I'm sitting down with Steve Boucher of Boucher Brothers, one of the most visible companies on Miami Beach's sand. We'll talk family, business, beach concessions, controversies, and what comes next. I hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with Steve Boucher as much as I did. It certainly answered a lot of questions that we all have as residents of Miami Beach. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoy. Today we're sitting down with Stephen Boucher from the Boucher Brothers. If you've spent any time on Miami Beach, you can't get away from the brand. And name on all the chairs, the umbrellas, the cabanas, the day beds, hotel beachfronts, and public beach concessions. I believe the family is a family business.
Yes, it is.
And named after the brothers James, Michael, Perry, and Steve.
Yes.
Born and raised in Florida.
Born and raised in Dade County. We were originally born in Carroll City. We moved to North Miami in the 70s.
So let me start with the name. Who are the Boucher Brothers?
The Boucher Brothers are a family, like I said. And by the way, thank you for inviting me to do this. It's pretty cool, actually. My first time doing anything like this.
Yeah, listen, I think it's important that everyone kind of see and hear from the owners of businesses, developments, projects, directly from the people shaping them. And I want to give you a platform to sort of dispel any questions or rumors there may be. But before we get to that, yeah, I'd love to give us a background on who you guys are, how'd you get here, and where do you see yourself in the future?
Oh, that's great. So I have, my mother was born in Brooklyn. My father was born in Michigan. They both got down here around the late 1950s. They met around 1962. We originally were from Carroll City, Florida. That's now called Miami Gardens. My parents got divorced in the mid-70s, and then we ended up moving to North Miami. There's 5 of us. It's my older brother, Jimmy, my second brother, Michael, myself is the third, me, and there's Perry, and there's my sister, Sandy. Very close family. We're all involved in the business. And we ended up moving to North Miami, and that's basically where, after I graduated high school at North Miami Senior High, that summer, a little later than that, ended up going to a hotel on the beach and working behind one of the hotels.
Which hotel?
Isles. Sunny Isles, in Newport. And we're still there.
You know, I grew up in Sunny Isles.
Yeah, I did know that.
And I remember it as basically all little 2-story motels.
Right.
And then you had the big hotel there, which is where you worked.
The Newport.
The Newport, yeah.
Where the pier was.
Right.
And at the end was the Marco Polo. They were like the 2 bigger properties. And in between there were all the Sun Cities, all those little motels that are now obviously huge condos.
Yeah.
So we started working at the Newport in maybe the mid 80s. We officially incorporated Boucher Brothers in 1989.
Wow.
And we got into a.
I was born in '84.
You were born in '84. I graduated in '84. But we got into the beach business, and we kind of turned it into more of a hospitality company.
Tell me, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Tell me how it started at the first location. Like, what did you do? Why were you needed?
Right. Well, originally there was a gentleman that I actually went to high school with, and he had the water sport concession. And he was also being paid by the hotel to have some of the beach attendants. So I was kind of working with him in the beginning. And we were just, it was a 300-room hotel. They had maybe 90 chairs, 90 umbrellas. And, all that stuff would run out very, very quickly. And then you didn't do nothing until the end of the day. And then after a couple of summers, we basically suggested that what happens if we bought the equipment and we paid you a share and allow us to have some of the locals be able to rent the equipment, because originally it was only for the hotel guests. Mm-hmm. But that's how we kind of started. We got our first spot in Miami Beach at the Surf Crumble Hotel, 1717 Collins Avenue, in '89. Back then, Miami Beach was a lot different than it is now. It was more of a, it's hard to explain, but that first contract, we bought the equipment, we purchased a hut. We were really excited to open our first day in Miami Beach, and that night they burned all of our stuff down, so we couldn't open.
Who burned your stuff?
It was one of the competitors. Back then, it was a little cowboyish out here, and it was very difficult to maintain your equipment without them burning it back then.
They burned it?
They burned everything down. Everything that we put out
Wow.
there the night before, they burned down, so we couldn't open the next day. They didn't want anyone else moving into the behind the
Who was the
hotels.
operator?
You know what? I do remember, but I think they're all dead by now. So
It was a long time ago.
it was a long time ago. But we didn't, we were tough kids ourselves, and we basically got new equipment, and we end up coming into that particular property, and that's what started us in our Miami Beach growth. It was great.
And then from there, kept on.
Yeah, we kept on getting. We built a reputation for ourselves to be reliable. We were there every morning. We were supposed to be. None of us really drank. None of us went out at night. So we were there, early in the morning to make sure that any guest coming out was being taken care of. And a lot of the hotels relied on us because normally you really couldn't rely on the beach staff. From the '60s and the '70s. And we, at one point, we decided to not just be a chair rental business. We wanted to be in the hospitality business. So we made ourselves, we trained ourselves in hospitality and culture, so the hotels would see us as a positive for them in the working relationship. And it just kind of, our reputation grew and grew and grew, and
Yeah,
started.
Yeah, at what point did you realize that you weren't just like a family operation? You were becoming a major business.
That probably took close to around 2001. In 2001, there was an opportunity that the Loomis Park city contracts, because before 2001, we didn't really have any city contracts. We just relied on what's called the upland contract. And one of the things that people don't realize is they think that we control the whole beach. We don't control the whole beach. The only beach that we control is our city contracts that are like between 5th and 14th. It's called Loomis Park. And then we have 21st Street, that's Collins Park. And then we have 46th Street next to the Eden Rock is one of our contracts. And we also have Ocean Terrace from 74th to 78th, and we also have Open Space Park. Those are my city contracts. Anywhere else I worked, I actually worked for the hotel, an upland property like the Lowe's, for example. The Lowe's hires us to be out there, so we work for them. Nothing's in my name. The permits aren't in our name. They're in their names, and they subcontract us to run their property.
Interesting. And since it is a family business, if you don't mind asking, how are the responsibilities divided between the brothers?
That actually happened kind of naturally, is what we were good at. My brother Jimmy was very involved in the chamber, and he takes care of a lot of the northern properties. My brother Perry's with finances. He's the youngest brother. He's in finances. And then Michael and I, we do a lot of the development, new properties, relationships. I do a lot of the administration relationships, the commission relationships. It's definitely a 7-day-a-week job. We're out here, all of us, 7 days a week.
So you got the Loomis contract in 2001?
2001.
Who was the mayor at the time?
The mayor was Kasdan.
Oh, it was
Mayor
Neeson.
Kasdan. It was Neeson.
Okay.
And what's interesting is the Penrod's family, who owns Nikki Beach,
Yeah.
they're the ones who had that contract. So they had two contracts. They had the beach contracts, and then they had Nikki Beach contract. They were bifurcated. They weren't together.
Yeah.
One was for 40 years, and one was for 15 years. When that contract came up, there were 3 bidders, and we were able to win the bid in 2001.
Oh, so I guess that competition runs farther than we think, huh?
Yeah. And a great story is we went to Jack before the RFP went out. We asked him if he would actually hire us, and we would we would work with him, and he told us no, that he was going to get it himself, and then it went to the actual RFP.
It's funny how these like rivalries start, decades ago.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
It leads me to the next question. When people criticize the Boucher brothers, does it feel different because your name's on it and your family's involved?
In the beginning, it was kind of hurtful, because you don't want to hear anything negative about your business because we work so hard, and it is 7 days a week. But I just think that most of the people don't realize what our responsibilities are out there and what we do. I could see if someone's walking by and they see a lot of equipment and they may think it looks unorganized or we have too much of the beach. But over the last 26 years, especially in Loomis Park, we have responsibilities due to our contract that kind of puts us in an area, what's called the workable area, and we don't leave the workable area. And I think they think that there's no room for like residents or locals, and there's more area for them than I able to use. But normally if someone is complaining and they reach out to me, I'll do a tour with them, I'll explain why we do things operationally. And I would say 99% of the time, they say, wow, that's smart. Now I realize why you do things. And
So any resident that reaches out to you, this is...
I've done it 300, 400 times in a lifetime.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. There was only one person that didn't like my tour.
Who was it?
I won't say it. I won't say
someone
who
I know?
Yeah, someone you know. I won't say who it is, and they asked me if I was retarded.
They asked if you were retarded.
Right.
And if I know you correctly, you do have like dyslexia, or what is it?
Back then, it wasn't diagnosed, and when you were in high school or junior high in the 70s and the 80s. But definitely, I definitely have
Something on the spectrum.
I'm special. It could be.
It's crazy that people are calling you retarded, or at least that one person.
That one person did.
Sorry for that.
And you know her very well.
Oh, no. Well, which of course leads me to the next question. What do you think residents misunderstand about you, your brothers, and the company the most?
I think they think that we control the whole beach. From First to 87th, and I could do whatever I want out there, and I could put my chairs anywhere that I want to and rent them, and that's not the case. I work for example, I work for the Lowe's, I work for the W, I work for the One. We have to go to meetings every morning with the hotel. We work for them, and I think at my city contracts, I think they realize that they think that we're taking up all the frontage away from the residents and the locals who don't want to rent my stuff. But we're so far back, and there's plenty of room for everyone. And once I point that out on a tour, they kind of say, you know what, you're right, we didn't see it this way. Because a lot of people just walk on the west side of my chairs, and they don't walk on the east side, seeing how much room is for everybody. Yeah. I'll even give you another one. If you're at one of my beaches, either behind the upland properties or even in my city contracts, and somebody wants to sit in an area that I have 2 chairs and an umbrella and no one's occupying it yet, I have to move that. This is a Dade County beach. If they say that's my favorite spot, that's where I got engaged, I want to sit there, we move the equipment. So,
really?
Yeah, 100%. There's never a time that we're not trying to do our best out there for the locals, the tourists. Because once you're staying at a hotel, we consider you a local, because now you're staying there, you're paying that weekend, and we want to treat everyone the same.
How many employees do you have?
During the summer, it peaks up to about 3,000.
Wow.
That's just not Miami Beach. We also run all of Hollywood, Florida, all of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We go all the way up to Boca. We run most of the beaches on the west coast of Florida. Okay. We do, I think it's 69 blocks in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're in the Del Coronado in San Diego, and we do consulting all over the world.
Anything overseas?
Just consulting. At one point before COVID, we had an opportunity in Italy, in Rimini and Forte dei Mare, but it didn't work out after COVID. There was some new politics going on, but we do some consulting out there.
And off summer, I'm just curious to know what that disparity is.
It's much bigger during the summer because we have other places open up north. But you know what? When we first started in the 80s, you had to have great weekends. July 4th, Memorial Day, you had to have those weekends to make any money for the year. Now it's turned into, we're probably busy, like 42 weekends a year. There's always something going on. It's like a holiday weekend every weekend, and especially in Miami.
Can you walk us through a typical day on Miami Beach as far as what you guys do?
Well, first, before anyone could start,
What has to happen before a customer arrives?
okay, so we have to wait actually for Dade County has a, we call her the turtle lady. I don't know if she's still around, but there's turtle people that go for a ride from the north to the south, and they look for any turtle slides to see if there's any nests that they have to protect.
Yeah.
And once they pass, we get the acknowledgement that they're done with their surveys, and then we're allowed to open. So, you know, we start opening, depending on when their survey is finished, we start opening around, say, 7:38. We figure out.
I'm a big turtle guy.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, of all the commissioners, I think.
No. We're big turtle people also. We're very big turtle
Good.
people.
I like to hear that. So yeah, okay. After the permit holder leaves.
Yeah, after the initial, depending on what day of the week it is, because obviously we get all the information from the hotel, and then if it's Tuesday or Wednesday in Loomis Park, we don't open as much because we're not going to need the equipment. We don't want to open up equipment that's not going to be utilized because it's just the wear and tear on the equipment. So we kind of open up the beaches from like getting the information from the hotels and understanding the day of the week, and we're ready for our first customer about 9 o'clock, 9:30.
Would you say Miami Beach is the hardest beach to operate outside of the other beaches like Hollywood or Fort Lauderdale?
No, it's actually one of the better properties, and not easy at all. But because of how wide we are, it allows us to store things on the beach that some places that there's no beach at all,
right,
and you can't store anything, so it's a little more difficult to operate. I think Miami Beach is uniquely positioned to have this great experience. I will tell you, it's the cleanest beach that we deal with, and we deal with beaches all over the world. I've never seen a cleaner beach than Miami Beach.
I remember looking at pictures of old Loomis Park. The beach was much shorter, right? At what point did it get wider?
I've been out there a long time, but not that long. But I do remember hearing stories of there was a state project, a federal project that expanded the beach, but weirdly, because of the driving on the beach, especially like south of 22nd Street, we have this hard packed sand that we utilize for special events, and it's amazing. It's basically a huge stage for us. But it grows every year. There's some areas that are hot spots, but
You also mentioned that a lot of properties and hotels use the Boucher Brothers. Why do they choose the Boucher Brothers?
well, that's a great question. First of all, we're very reliable. We're great at what we do. We have a culture that's just as good as any of the finer hotels. So we'll bring a St. Regis or a Four Seasons culture to a smaller boutique hotel or even smaller hotels that are just maybe a regular chain, and we give them what they need. It's a very difficult business. I don't know if you've ever worked with sand in your shoes, but it's not that easy to do. Right. We train our guys. We have 2 or 3 guys been with us more than 30 years. We have 1 guy over 40 years. We have probably 50 people over 20 years.
And you have 3,000 employees. Okay, just in Miami Beach, are any of them residents?
Oh yeah, lots of residents. We have a lot of residents. We have, say 500, 600 employees working in Miami Beach. And I would say 20%, 30% are residents. Mainly, I probably have employed more Miami Beach senior high students than any other company in Miami Beach. I mean, if you've lived here at any point in your time, one of your sister brothers kids have worked for us.
Amazing. Who's your biggest competitor? Do you even have, is there an up and coming competitor that's coming to try to?
No, there's really no one, because we do things differently. Because we're just not a beach rental company. We are a hospitality company, and it's not something that many people know how to get into, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do what we do.
Which leads me to my next question. When critics say you are a monopoly, how do you respond to that?
I would say that's not true, because I'll give you an example. say there's the 100% of the workable beach. A workable beach means where you're going to get rentals, you're going to get some high impact visibility out there of people, visitors. I would say my city contracts is maybe 20% of that, and 80% is the hotels. And every one of those hotels could fire us at any time. We work for them. We haven't lost a property in 40 years, but it's not a monopoly when you work for 50 different people that could fire you at any time they want. So it's very difficult to be a monopoly when it's that. Now, if you, the city, gave me the whole beach, that would be a monopoly. But I could be fired at 50 spots at any time.
So you're saying that you don't actually have control over the let's just call it the percentage of the beach. So you only have between 4th and 15th?
It's 5th and 14th,
Yep.
21st Street, 46th Street, 74th to 78th.
And that's just a block?
Yeah, that's it. And like, I'll give you an example, like behind all the great hotels we have in Miami Beach, they all have their own permits in their names. They choose to hire us.
And then you manage through the working agreement that they have with the beach, or where you can place stuff.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. And then they keep having you employed because you do good work?
Do good work. Our culture is great. I would say the majority of our properties, when they get all the great write-ups of what's great at the hotels, we're like the majority of them, because people are coming down here for the beach and pool experience.
So, I looked up on TripAdvisor and Google, all great reviews. What do you think drives those ratings?
Culture. Culture. Every day we work on culture.
So give me an example.
We overtrain, and we continuously train. I'll give you an example. I walk the beach every single day. During the school year, I drop my kids off, I come straight to the beach. I'll walk the length of the beach on the sands.
Which length?
I walk my office is on 15th and Ocean Drive, so I'll start on 15th. I'll go down to Continuum on the beach, and I go back to 21st Street. Every single day we do that. And I see my employees, I see my managers talking to my employees. If there's a shirt out, if someone didn't shave, or they're putting an umbrella in wrong, we're constantly training our people. And we have these 5-step programs where they welcome you as soon as you come up. We're very in tune of what the hotels want, what the city wants. Because our city contract is like a big hotel contract for us. We work for you guys. And if we don't do everything right out there, you're gonna hear the complaints.
Yeah.
You'll hear people say to me about our company that we may have too much, or there's monopoly and there's not enough space, but they'll never complain about our service. Our service is above.
Right, that was my
board.
next question. On Yelp and Facebook, it's a little bit more of a mix, and I think, at least from what I saw, is at least the negative comments were they're just taking over the beach. Yeah. But they didn't really necessarily talk about service.
Right.
Yeah. No. I want everyone to understand this. Does the Boucher Brothers offer discounts for residents?
Yes, we have a program for all Miami Beach residents to sign up for a 35% discount for all Miami Beach residents.
And why did you agree to that?
We tried to do that many years ago, and then some of the commissioners at the time wanted other things. We roughly give back between $300,000 and $500,000 a year to charities in Miami Beach. There's like right now we give, I think it's $40,000 for scholarships. We do $40,000 in environmental.
Really?
That's to the city every year when we're paying our rent. I'll give you something that's interesting. When the last operator had the beach, he was roughly paying $10,000 a year. We, at this point, pay $1.6 million to have the benefit of being out there. So the city is truly our partner.
And so you give back to the city around $300,000 to $500,000 depending on the year?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. There's two events that come every year. They're annual. They've been annual for 26 years. One was called the White Party. One's called the Winter Party. when you come out and you ask me to move my stuff, I get paid what's called a disbursement fee, displacement fee. I'm not disbursement, displacement fee, and we've never charged any of those organizations. So we give back constantly, and we do it all the time.
You know, some residents might feel like it's starting to be a private resort. And how do you parse through that with the residents that may feel this is getting a little too private and this is actually a public beach? I mean, how do you what would you like to say to make that distinction?
You know, I could see their point, you know, if they're visually walking by and not understanding who's there. But I'll give you an example of like the W on 22nd Street. If you look at their beach, it's partial residents, partial hotel guests, and the rest, just as many of the hotel guests, are residents from Miami. They may not be from Miami Beach, but they're from somewhere in Dade County. So every one of our beaches are open to the public. And if you look at the mix who's actually renting that particular day, they may think it's only hotel guests or residents, but it's a good mix of everybody.
And so how do you protect, obviously we have 3,000 during the high season. Just curious, how do you protect the workers from the sun and, you know, rowdy people who may be getting aggressive on the beach? Because, you know, we always see, unfortunately, fights, or there could be a lot of homeless that sleep out on the beach. What does Boucher Brothers do for that?
Well,
or how do you manage that?
Yeah, we work very closely with the police. Very closely with the police. We've been doing that for a good 30 years. We've been very lucky out there. We haven't had a lot of incidences out there on bad behavior towards any of my employees. And we do have protocols about water stations. We make sure everyone has enough water. We make sure, especially during the summer, that make sure everyone's taken care of. And we have a lot of breaks. We do a good job. A lot of our support staff's out there making sure that everyone's good.
So I want to move into the core public issue, right? And, you know, the Boucher Brothers has operated major Miami Beach beach concessions for decades. And the city has defended a lot of critics where they think that you're taking over. And I think you've already dispelled a lot of that in the beginning. But when we talk about long-term contracts, renewal options, bid waivers, expanded concessions areas, and a vendor that has, well, let's call it what it is, it's almost impossible to dislodge you, because you do such a good job and you are so omnipresent on the beach. There really is no way to have a sort of competition. So would you say that the critics are valid when they see like a no bid waiver, for example?
Yeah, I think that could be
a no bid waiver for obviously the beach concession.
right. If you look at it from a distance, it could be something that you may want to take a look at again. But if you go into the essence of the deal, and like you said, it's very hard to displace us because we have this infrastructure that's out there, and we have this beach knowledge of 41 years, and sometimes they say, well, most likely they're going to win, but if I give them an extension, I could get more out of them. And then the commissioners do a great job.
What do you mean by more out of them?
Just community get back, more of a percentage. We started off with a guaranteed rent to the city at $400,000. Now we're at 1.6. So every time they don't give the city and the commission doesn't give me anything for free. They give it to me and say, okay, if you want these extra years, this is what we want. And so I'll give you an example.
When was the last bid waiver contract?
The last one was the last extension was in 2018.
When's the next one coming up?
Well, we haven't asked for an extension or anything, but I have the contract still has 9 years left on it.
So I mean, I guess that's gonna that'll be here long before or while I'm still commissioner. But even when it does come up, would you have a problem with there being a bid or having a competitor come in and having to compete?
No, not really. We think we're very confident in what we do, and we don't think anyone's going to be able to kind of do what we do out there. But if that was what the commission wanted and this administration wanted, we would have to go with it.
Yeah, from what I'm reading, the agreement ran from 2019 through 2026 with 2 5-year renewal options, right? And then that's where you can renew. You don't need approval from the city, right? That's
Well,
just
no.
part of the contract.
Well, yes, I need the approval from the city, but there's like several things that we have to do and we have to be on top of. And if one of those things aren't being taken care of, I don't get my renewals. So it's not a guarantee, but it's a guarantee if I do everything I'm supposed to do. Like make sure I pay my rent on time, make sure the cleanliness, make sure the new equipment.
Right. And now you just answered my question. Like, why was that the right structure? And it's because you have certain commitments you have to meet with the contract.
Exactly. And also, it's like if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing and we're not giving back what we're supposed to be doing and paying our rent on time, I shouldn't be out there.
Right. And the other streets that you mentioned, the 21st and 46th Street concessions, those are fairly new.
We've had those for about, I would say, 10 years.
Do you see yourself expanding beyond those with the city?
Well, there's nothing else. Like, we run all the city contracts that you guys give out.
No, I'm meaning more real estate on the beach. Besides just, beyond the 15th Street and between 15th and 22nd?
Well, all of those,
hotels, yeah.
they're all hotels. So every city's contract that's eligible to be given out, we have under contract. And there are some spots that are dormant, and if you want activated, that you would allow us to activate it.
Right. So you don't have a problem with competing if you ever had to. I mean, I know that's in 9 years from now. But,
Yeah, we don't have a problem.
But that's what I asked earlier is there another Boucher brother company in some other state or that is similar to what you do? Or maybe have even taken your business model and did it somewhere else?
There's some smaller companies that are in different cities, but they're chair rental companies. We're a hospitality company, so we're a lot different than they are. We happen to rent the same stuff,
Yeah.
but I'll give you an example. There's some cities where you sit down, you're there for an hour, and someone will come up to you and say, "Oh, you've been here for an hour. You could pay now." There's no hospitality. There's no fixing your chairs. There's no fixing your umbrella. There's no welcome. There's no 5-step welcome.
I guess let me reverse that. Do you see yourself going into other beaches across the country to possibly compete and expand?
Yeah, there's not that many beaches out there that you would want to get. Ironically, there's really not. There's some place we'll go out to a place, and we'll look out there and we'll just say, no, this is not for us. There's Miami Beach is very unique, very, very unique. The only closest thing to it is the Hollywood and Fort Lauderdale, but this is a very unique beach.
I want to move. So I think I got a much better idea of how you guys operate. Obviously, you don't own all the beach. A lot of the beaches have hotels and
condominiums.
And so you also service condominiums.
Yeah, we service condominiums too.
Interesting. So it's really just your sort of work ethic and reputation that keeps you omnipresent on the beach.
100%.
Well, that's good. That's good business. The next thing I want to talk about was the controversy with Nikki Beach and Pier Park. For people who don't follow every detail, the city owned a site at One Ocean Drive, was, as you know, operated by the Penrods for the longest time. The city initially moved toward negotiations with Boucher Brothers and a competitive RFP. After much backlash, the city reversed course and had the RFP. So Boucher Brothers, major food group, was later selected. But as you know, this predates me being on the commission. The controversy still continued after that. I vaguely remember when this was happening. And, you know, there were lawsuits, which we just settled, actually, and allegations of favoritism over whether the agreement was a concession, you know, or a lease. Questions whether the voters should have had a say in the matter, and the dispute over whether Nikki Beach's proposal was late or improperly rejected. If I remember correctly, the guy submitted it like a minute past the deadline, and that, you know, that is the cutoff. Let's start simply. Why did the Boucher brothers want the Nikki Beach Park site? Why did you want that particular property?
You know, we've been looking at that property for a very long time. And I would say in the last, say, 15 years, and I walk by it every day, and I just visualize what that could be. I think, you know, it's one of the only, you're not gonna believe this, but it's one of the only true beach clubs on the East Coast of the United States. True beach clubs where you get a park, you get the dunes is there, and then the beach starts. Mainly, you have a hotel. It's completely set up differently. So we always thought this could be a very, very special place. And we've been looking at it for a very long time. And one of the reasons that we wanted to have this reputation for ourselves of making sure, I'll give you an example. We pay our rent every single time before it's due. And we're paying $1.6 million. We've never been late on anything that we've ever done with the city. And one of the reasons we did that was we wanted to say, if this opportunity ever comes up, they're going to say, well, how have they been as our beach contractor? Well, wow, these guys have a great reputation. So
you said you started eyeing that site for a long time. How long?
2001.
So that's the time when the Penrod when you got the Loomis Park.
Right.
Would you say ever since 2001, your relationship with the Penrods has been adversarial?
No, not at all. After 2001, we've had no connection with them until this went out to RFP. And by the way, when you said that they originally, I think it was the finance committee, they didn't give us anything. They gave us the ability to come up with some ideas. And then if they like the ideas, they could say, hey, maybe we'll try it with the Boucher Brothers, or, you know, they gave us some great ideas. We're going to put an RFP out and see what happens. Right. A lot of the family, I guess, didn't like that situation, and you know, they had a lot of their supporters relay that on the message boards.
Yeah, I mean, there was Nikki Beach has been there for decades, right? And there was certainly an emotional connection to that. And the residents feel that, look, that I've been there since I was, you know, a teenager, and now it's going away. You know, how do you respond to the critics that say you sort of had the inside track on getting that property?
Listen, for 20 years, we wanted to make ourselves, or actually put ourselves in position to someone say, hey, you know what, these guys could do it. The reason I walk the beach is I want to make sure people see us out there. How many times do I run into you? I run into you quite often, and you'll see me in different places. Like, you know, what are you doing on this side?
I see you all the time.
I see you all the time. You know, that family decided not to build the relationships in Miami Beach and keep relationships.
Why do you think your proposal was better than theirs?
Because we've been thinking about this for a very long time. We think we know what the residents want of Miami Beach. We think we know a lot of the south of Fifth what they want. We definitely know what the visitor wants who's staying at the hotels. I ended up partnering up with, you know, the best restaurant hospitality company in the world. We're the best at what we do. They're the best at what they do. So I thought we were a perfect combination, and the city thought also that that's the great pick.
And the lawsuits that just ended, it's completely over, right?
Yeah, completely over.
How do you think that went? Do you think it was fair?
No, I think it was awful. I think they weren't suing the Boucher brothers. They were suing the city,
Correct.
and they were suing the city on procedural stuff. And I don't think they were trying to win the lawsuit. I think they were trying to hurt the city, hurt South of Fifth, hurt the Boucher brothers by delaying stuff. And the way the court system works, they could do that. The city and the Boucher brothers felt there was a high probability of us winning the lawsuit, but then there's appeals. And they were slowing everything down, so the Boucher brothers and Major Food Group stepped up, and we agreed to extend them and their contract up until August 6th of 2027, and we paid them $3 million to drop all lawsuits.
So they were suing the city. Well, they were suing the city, and if I remember correctly, they wanted $3 million, and you guys came in, and they're just fronting that cost.
Right. Well, they wanted a lot more than that.
What do they start off with?
I guess it's over. I could speak about it.
Yeah.
Okay. They wanted $18 million in 5 more years.
And then we settled on 3, and Boucher Brothers came in and basically paid that tab.
It's not paid yet, but it will be paid.
You've agreed to it.
We agreed to it. With Major Food Group. We are partners in everything that we do. And by the way, they're a great partner.
So tell me about Major Food Group. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of them. The only thing I know about Major Food Group is Carbone. Yeah, my wife likes to go there sometimes. I think I've been one time. I'm not a real big foodie out. I like to eat at home. Tell me about Major Food Group and why did you decide to partner with them?
That's very interesting. I had a lot of phone calls from a lot of people trying to be my partner on that deal. And when I met Jeff, one of the main owners of Major Food Group, the passion he has for not just the food and the great wines, he loves what he does, and he's also very much into culture. So when you go there, it's almost like going to a play in New York. You're not just having dinner. You hear the music, you feel the vibe, you see people. It's absolutely an experience. And I knew once I had the opportunity to get the contract that I wanted those experiences at that location. And you don't have to have the loud music. You don't have to have people dancing on the tables. This is going to be an experience of great food, great ambiance, and just great people.
When did you, if you don't mind me asking, when did you guys meet or connect? Is that when they moved into the beach?
No,
I remember
not
correct,
originally.
that site used to be called Upland, right?
Right.
And then
Just I couldn't get into that when they first opened. I couldn't get into it. So
in Carbone,
not at all. They're very nice to me now, but in the beginning, I couldn't get a reservation. You know what? I can't remember exactly how we met. But I started to go to the restaurant. I started to go to some other of his restaurants, and every single restaurant was perfect. Just the perfect experience.
So tell me, just to finish off, what can residents expect at the new site, at the old Nikki Beach site, which is now called, what do you guys call it?
No name yet. We have a hold.
There's like a Carbone Beach, right?
They're calling it for a hold name right now, Major Beach. But it's going to be, are you familiar with Sadelle's? It's a great New York delicatessen. It's more of a breakfast place, and it's absolutely terrific. There's one in the Grove, and we're going to bring it here for the South of Fifth community to be able to enjoy that. And then it's going to be a Mediterranean restaurant.
But tell me about the whole vision, and in so many words, of what it's going to do, what can you do there, what's the experience?
So originally, we were going to do a redo of what the building there, but the building is in such bad shape. You had to knock it down. There's all these new rules where you can't have a kitchen on the first floor. So basically, the city asked us, "Would you guys mind? We know you were only going to spend money to redo it. Would you mind knocking down a building? Because we're building you guys, the city, a brand new building." And so that's what we decided
On your
to do.
dime.
On our dime.
Yeah.
On our dime. With no guarantees that we'll ever get an extension, and we're taking that risk because we think what we're going to do is so special that the city will be very, very helpful in getting a renewal once our renewal runs out.
So you're very confident.
Very
in
confident.
in this project. I mean, you're paying $3 million, and you do not have a guarantee on the extension, and you're doing a full build out, and that's last how long? 15 years?
18 years.
18.
And it's a $50 million build out.
Wow.
Okay.
Are residents going to be able to just go and enjoy it? At
Oh,
any
it's going to be
time?
great for the residents. We're doing these special programs for residents where they're going to have the first seating options. We're going to have a app system to where they could, come in anytime they want. We're going to have a spa. We're going to have 3 great restaurants. We're going to do everything top notch. I think the South of Fifth community is really going to enjoy it because they're right there on top of us. But everyone in the city is going to enjoy it.
Yeah, one of the issues that residents, that they love is Monty's, and it's moderately priced. Are we going to have something similar in that
Oh yeah,
sense?
100%, 100%. Siddell's is a very affordable option.
So you're excited.
Very excited.
All right. Well, this is going to be like your next step. sort
Yeah,
of,
we're very
business.
excited.
Very exciting. I wanted to go into, and this is something that we have, I guess, partnered on, is alcohol on the beach.
Right.
I got a flood of email. It was last summer. A flood of emails, text messages of residents going to the beach. And then you had these people in backpacks that literally had like these pouches of a cocktail. And we don't
like an IV.
Yeah, like an IV, like almost like those Cap Suns or the old things you take to school.
Capri Suns.
Yeah, Capri Sun, right. And you don't know what they're selling to girls. They're not checking IDs. They're also, I mean, this is all what residents tell me, that they were selling drugs, or they would give you a referral for drugs. And it got to the point where we can't really expect the police to be out on the sand and patrol this, where there's like a task force. And this was in 24 that I got these complaints. Yeah. And we have much bigger problems, or we did at the time, with the spring break and Memorial Day and homelessness. And I don't think that was a good use of resources, police resources, to check the beach. I mean, especially if you think of Loomis Park. I mean, that's 10 city blocks of beachfront. Tell me how the Boucher brothers could help stem that behavior.
That's a great question. So right now, alcohol is not nearly as popular as it used to be. So it's not like I am like, and there was one
I
misconception.
can't even remember last time I had any alcohol.
Right, I don't drink at all. I will tell you, the misconception is that we were asking for alcohol and we're going to have like a Mardi Gras out there. We weren't thinking like that at all. What the idea was, we were trying to make the experience better for the beach guest. We're about to put millions of dollars into new equipment in Loomis Park. We're very close to bringing some great food out to the beach. And one of the things that people have always asked us for is, can I get a drink? Can I get a glass of rosé? Can I get a cocktail? Can I get a beer? And we always said, well, unfortunately, you're gonna have to go stand up and you have to go towards the Ocean Drive. To them, that was crazy. And then after COVID, it was happening a little bit before COVID, but after COVID, you had sometimes 50 people with backpacks selling these drinks out of these IVs. That was absolutely insane. And you're right, they were selling drugs, they were selling food, they were selling these mixed drinks. It was very difficult for the police to catch. They were so good at it. And
It was a game like a whack-a-mole.
It was.
You catch one. And
Yeah,
another
it
one
was.
plays.
Yeah, 100%. It was organized. And then I've slowly lost my customer base out in Loomis Park, and I'm trying to convince more locals, more of the Miami locals, more of the great hotels in Miami now that are looking for a beach experience is I'm trying to get them to come to Loomis Park. If I get them to come to Loomis Park, they're going to come, they're going to spend money in Loomis Park. The city gets a piece of that. But they're going to want their food and they're going to want to drink at their chair. And we're trying to give them the best experience. We're trying to give them the same exact experience they get if they're staying at the Delano.
Right, but the whole idea, at least when I am in favor of it, is now the visitor or the resident, if they want to drink, they have a much more safe and legal option to do it, other than some guy selling it on the beach. And if you do see that, are you allowed to call the police? I mean, how attentive is the police now?
Well, a part of our responsibility is to get the privilege to have the alcohol was we have to have off-duty officers. So we'll have off-duty officers on the beach waiting to catch these guys in these particular acts.
Do you actually pay for the off-duty officers?
Yes, we haven't started yet because we're just getting our license from the state of Florida. But once we are, we'll have a full team of officers.
Really?
Not full team, but we'll have enough officers to take care of the issue. And hopefully the issue goes away and we don't have to have the program. But what also that helps with, they're not just going to be looking at like illegal vendors selling alcohol. Now they're on the beach and they can help with anything that might be going wrong.
How many officers?
Two. There's two that we're going to have.
In uniform?
Yeah, in uniform.
I mean, to me, that's a great idea because you're not going to be able to remove that sort of need of people wanting to enjoy a drink or a glass of wine, and through, I guess, capitalism, we're solving a problem where it's almost unsolvable. And that's why I was big in favor of it, where you have to come up with practical solutions that don't cost police resources to go after that, because it could get bad, and God forbid if one of these vendors, these illegal vendors selling things in an IV bag, have roofies in a drink, right?
Absolutely.
Or mixed drugs. So I think that was, and again, this is a pilot, right? So it's only 1 year?
1 year pilot.
And how would you determine the results? Like, how are you going to say, this is the pilot, and these are the KPIs?
Well, it's definitely not how many beers we sell, I'll tell you that. It's basically the experiences that the beach guests have.
But how do you measure experiences?
We'll probably end up asking them to fill out something. We want to make sure that whatever we're doing out there, the new ideas that we have out there with food and beverage, that we get some feedback. But also, I think the police officers and I think the chief would be able to tell you, oh wow, there's no more illegal vendors out there. The whole process is working. Everyone's getting what they want. The customer's getting a great experience, and they don't have to worry about what they're drinking. And we're also cleaning up the mess. We're out there. We're doing everything. So I'll give you an example. I've lost customers in Loomis Park. I'm trying to get them back. The only way I could get them back is giving them a great experience. And I went around the community and said, hey, listen, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And I was surprised.
When do you mean you lost customers? How do you determine that?
Just on revenue. On revenue. You could tell. I had a huge gay audience, huge. And I would have 300 people there on a Saturday and Sunday, and now you get a quarter of that. I used to have a huge European on the 8th Street. A lot of the Europeans would come stay at the Pelican Hotel, for example. And they would be there. We've lost a lot of certain sectors of who was coming here. And I want to bring some of these great people back.
So again, how are you going to determine if it worked?
Well, the numbers will go up. I will see the average age go up. We went from 30, an average of 30-year-olds coming to the beach down to a 23-year-old. So we lost a lot of our adult visitors.
Yeah, who are more likely to pay.
Right, and want the experience. But I was surprised when I was going around the community and saying, hey, this is my idea, this is what I would love to do. A lot of them didn't have no issue with the actual alcohol part of it. It was, well, if you're successful, that means you're going to bring more people to the beach, and more people means traffic. So where I was going to get approval for this, they were more worried about how it's going to affect their lives with traffic, and not what's actually best for
Yeah.
the experience. So it was hard to juggle.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, as a, as an elected official of Miami Beach, the number one priority is public safety.
Right.
And once I started seeing videos of, then they were pretty aggressive.
Oh, very aggressive.
They're going up to young women and families. They go up to families, offering these IV. I said, this is ridiculous.
Right.
We can't have police just always enforcing the beach. So I'm glad that you guys, the Boucher Brothers, is now literally paying for off-duty cops to enforce that. I think let me ask you, if the experience isn't what you expected, are you okay to end the program?
Absolutely. We don't want to do something that's not working.
All right. So let me get some rapid-fire questions, if you don't mind. What's your favorite beach in the world?
Miami Beach, by far.
That was an easy one. Favorite beach in Miami Beach?
14th Street, right here.
Why?
I love to come to this beach. It's clean. It's the parking, because my office is here. But I love this beach, and I love to have. I come to the Betsy for lunch, and it's a great spot.
Apparently, the Betsy has a Boucher burger.
Boucher burger.
Tell me about that.
Since it's so close to my office, we're here very often, and it was called the Butcher Burger originally, and it's very similar to my name, so the owner was nice enough to call it a Boucher burger. But now there's some Boucher burgers.
Do you ever order the Boucher burger?
I actually have ordered a couple of times. I actually won the best burger one time in Food and Wine.
If you go to the beach chair, umbrella, cabana, or daybed? You come with the fam.
All of it, though, because we have a big family. So I go one day bed, 4 chairs, plenty of umbrellas.
What's the craziest thing you've seen on the beach, in Miami Beach?
Craziest thing I've seen in Miami Beach that I could talk about.
You can talk about anything.
I'll tell you something that was interesting. After 9/11, they had a concert, Bon Jovi, for Good Morning America. And no one showed up for it. Bon Jovi on the beach singing 3 songs.
No one showed up?
And no one showed up.
It was just empty?
It was empty. It was like me and my staff as background. We knew they were going to be there. We were thinking, oh my God, there's going to be thousands of people here.
Give me another crazy. Come on, you see, I'm
crazy.
I want to hear like good stories.
A good story.
The second craziest story that you've seen on the beach.
Okay, so because I've been here for so long, I've been able to meet a lot of people. So I get a phone call, and they say Shaq wants to go for a ride on the beach. So I picked Shaq up on my golf cart, and we're going down the beach. At the same time, Britney Spears was very popular, and she was staying at the Lowe's. So I had Britney Spears on the beach. This is a true story. Britney Spears on the beach here. Then I had Nicolas Cage, who just got married to Lisa Presley, maybe 5 cabanas down. No one knew about it. And then I had Shaq on the golf cart going by the Lowe's. So at that particular time, I had 3 high-end celebrities, and no one really knew what was going on. But Britney ended up taking her cabana down, everyone noticing her, and then they went crazy. But that was kind of crazy.
What would you say is the most underrated beach? Most underrated thing about Miami Beach?
If we're sticking to the beach itself, I don't think people realize how clean it is. I mean, it's absolutely spotless when you know. Of course, near the end of the day, if people come out at night, they're going to leave things. But the city does a great job. The county does a great job. There's a company called Beach Raker that takes care of the seaweed and all the sifting. They are the Boucher Brothers of seaweed and sifting. They're absolutely incredible. They're always there when you need them. I love Miami Beach. Like there's nothing to me. I never want to leave Miami Beach. I would like to die on one of my chairs. I don't think people realize how special Miami Beach is. But when they come here, I'll give you an example. During COVID, a lot of the New Yorkers were forced to stay here longer than they normally do. They always say, I'm going to get out before it gets too hot. But once they went through their first long summer, they realized it wasn't that bad. And a lot of the ones that I know are never going back. Like the owner of Major Fruit Group, Jeff. He's never going back, he says. So once he went through a summer and realized how beautiful this was,
Yeah.
he's never going back.
What's the one thing tourists understand about Miami Beach that residents sometimes forget?
That's a great question. I think that the tourists, when they see the beach, they're at awe. They're like, oh my God, look at this. Can you imagine waking up to this every single day? I don't think that the residents appreciate just the beach itself. I mean, just the way it looks, how gorgeous it is, the turtles coming up, everything that the beach does for us. I think that a lot of the residents don't appreciate it as much as the tourists do.
You know, speaking from my own experience, I don't usually come to the beach pretty often. I'm usually on the boat,
Right.
or the parks, but I rarely come to the beach. And I went the other week, and the same thing that you're saying. You kind of when you look at it, you sit back and you see like the cruise ships coming by, and it's a perfect day. It is something very special.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's unique anywhere in the world, because other places, other good beaches, it's either cold water, but it's a nice place. But I think Miami Beach is heaven on earth.
Temperature is perfect.
You said you're willing to personally show anyone your operations and why things are done the way they are, whether they agree with you or not. What would people be most surprised to see behind the scenes?
I think that the stuff that we do operationally makes a lot of sense of how big the beach is and how many people come out there. I think once they see it and we explain it to them and we actually bring them like on the east side of the chairs and we show them why we do things and how we open and close, I think they appreciate it and they say, what? If I was in charge of telling you what to do out here, we would be doing it the same way.
What's the biggest misconception about the Boucher Brothers?
You hear some crazy stories, but like, we're not the mob. We're born and raised in Dade County.
Wait, you actually have a moniker for being the mob?
There's a couple of listen, when you have these neighborhood chats, they'll say anything, and it's like mob related. It must have been handed down from their parents. We're paying people off. Listen, I wouldn't if I could get a long-term contract and then that never show up, I would have done that. That's not the way we operate. We show up every single day with long-term contracts because I want the next commissioner or the next administrator to realize, wow, these guys really love this beach and they're doing a great job for us. So, I think that we're really good guys. We care about the beach. We give back. We give back more than anyone, I think, around. Not more money, but for what we make, we give a lot more back. And we're not shy of expressing how great this beach is. And if you want to come out and go for a golf cart ride and ask me the tough questions and why we do things, I have no problem with it.
So that's an open invitation to any resident.
I've done it 300 times.
I think you might get more after this.
It's fine. I would love the opportunity to explain why we do things. And if they have questions, I'll give you an example. Someone wrote on a chat that the Boucher brothers promised to sift the beach, and there's still seaweed on the shoreline. If you look at the contract, we're not allowed to go down to the shoreline. We did promise to sift the beach, and we hire Beach Raker to sift the beaches, all the public beaches, and they do all the hotels. The hotels pay the Beach Raker themselves. I pay for all the sand sifting and all my city contracts. But I'm not allowed to go down and sift the seaweed. They don't know that, so they see something I'm supposed to be doing.
That's because of the turtles and a lot of
many
germs.
reasons. Yeah, many reasons. And they say, well, they're not doing what their contract says. But if you call me and say, hey, Steve, why aren't you cleaning the shoreline on 15th Street? Well, we're not allowed to do that. We have to stay above the high water line. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, if they just ask me questions, I have no problem answering them. And 95% of the time, they think they agree with us.
Steve, thank you. Appreciate it for your time. I think it's great that you dispel some of the rumors and you having an opportunity to sort of state
No, this was
your case.
great. This was great. Appreciate it.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you.